Okay, hey, so welcome to the first episode of Beanbag Rebels. I thought we would start off with two very key concepts that's relevant to innovation is innovation itself and experiments. And over the next couple of minutes, hopefully you'll see why. So as the first thing, maybe let's start on defining what is innovation because it means different things to different people, right? You talk to different people, they will give you the different definition depending on what they've been, their experience has been. I found the simplest and relevant definition was from a TED talk by Linda Hill. She very simply defined it as anything that's both new and useful. And I've highlighted new and useful because it's very subjective, right? New and useful to whom? New for me, new for you, new for our parents, useful for whom, right? Um, but essentially, when you come up with an idea or thought that I've got this product, this idea that's new and useful, it's basically still is an assumption, hypothesis, right? And as with our assumption and hypothesis, we ideally would want to design experiments to validate those hypotheses, whether or not we're right. Hopefully, we are. Um, with this line of thought, I started thinking back, experiments, I did that when I was in high school or university, and during my engineering years, maybe it looked something like this. We were in a lab, we had a breadboard, we had the resistors, capacitors, we plugged things in, and then we tested different things and we validated the results. So we had some assumption, hypothesis, we had the results, we had conclusion, right? And then if maybe some of us who went through the biology or chemistry track experiments would look something like this. But I also, thought a little bit deeper about this, and if I am to be honest with myself a bit, the results were they really unknown because we were in the lab and we kind of knew what the theory was going to be, what we were testing. There was the lab assistant there. There was the lecturer there. Maybe the next day, who we could ask and say, "Hey, did we get it right?" Right. So this is where I think when we talk about innovation ideas, I really haven't done any experiments, that with an unknown answer. So all the experiments I did in high school and university, because uh, I never did take a master's degree or a PhD. It really wasn't unknown, you know. So got me thinking again. What is a good example of where real experiments are happening? And you know what? A couple of days ago, I had my second AstraZeneca jab, and that's where the real experiments look like. To come up with the vaccine AstraZeneca that works, statistically speaking, depending on which source you find, um, the variation is, between 8 to 10,000 things, call it candidate molecules in the industry, 8 to 10,000 candidate molecules to yield one thing that works. So the number of failures, things that didn't work, was 9,999 or 7,999, depending on where you are. So a simplified look of the pharma industry might look something like this, right? You have something very, very much on the left hand side that's all the things that you thought would work, all the great ideas, all the things that candidates, and then in the end, we end up with those things on the right hand side that actually work. And as we go from left to right here, we learn more. We learn more about some of these things, why they work, why they didn't work. We learn more about why some of these things work, right? And I would say that innovation idea are no different. And this is the last slide that we have on this very short intro. Innovative ideas are no different from, the pharma, the vaccines example that I just gave you. If we've got something that's truly new, that's we want to validate whether or not it's useful to a lot of people or not. If it's a truly, truly new idea, and this is where we can take a really deep dive into new for who, right? So as an example, if it's new to the world, it should look something like the vaccine, right? Nobody has done it before. We should be trying a lot of things, but maybe if it's new to your company, to your corporation, the choices are probably a little bit more limited. So let me give you an example. If you know for sure that the customer is looking for an app, that narrows it down already. If you know for sure that the customers are looking for an app for payment, that narrows down it even further. So you can look around in the market and say, hey, you know what? Um, I'm looking for an app, a payment app that can do encryption end to end, that has got, I don't know, AES, how many bit encryption. It narrows down your choices so that then maybe you're here and you're looking at maybe five choices. But what that tells you also is it's not really new for the world because somebody else already done it. So we'll come back to this. But the question I leave with everybody at the end of this episode before we go into the next one is, where do you think you are or your company is in terms of experimentation, in terms of how much failures do we actually have, in terms of how much restriction we are we in the left hand box or are we on the right hand box? So next time we're going to take a deeper dive into the innovation landscape, and we are going to come back to that chart that I showed you again. Thank you. And yeah, let us know what you think. Give me feedbacks and comments on what you want to hear for the next few episodes. Thanks.